Hi everybody, this is a project I've been working on for a while to get a GTN750 for my sim, and what you're seeing on screen right now is a real GTN750 from Cincinnati Avionics, which is on the bench. And my choices really were make something myself or buy the RealSimGear GTN750, which I did, so we'll get to that in just a second, but first of all this is the real GTN unit. And what I want you to focus on is just how responsive this thing is. Even with quite a light touch or a swipe, then it responds exactly the way you would expect it to from a professional piece of avionics. Now, I ordered the RealSimGear GTN750, which I paid for myself, and you'll see in a moment why I had some problems with it and why I returned it in the end. I don't want to mislead anybody, and that it is a very nicely built unit. The build quality is great, it does do the job, it's got the screen all built in. But as you'll see in a moment, there are just a few problems with it that really put me off. And credit to the people at RealSimGear, they gave me a refund, no questions asked, no problem whatsoever. With the real unit here, you'll see how it's actually quite laggy in loading the map. It's becoming a relatively old piece of avionics now. And right at the end here, I'll just show you some of the texturing on the knobs and the lovely rubber buttons that this unit has. And then we'll take a look at the RealSimGear unit, and I'll apologise for the horrible portrait view. So I made a little 3D printed stand for it because it doesn't come with a stand. And as you can see, build quality actually quite nice. The screen is not exactly the same dimensions as the real one. It's a little bit taller, and I found it very hard to source a screen like this. But you already see the problem is it's not quite responding to my touch the way I would like it to. And also you've got the little hand mouse cursor that just seems to lurk around. That was me trying to enter Atlanta. Didn't quite work. You see, I'm having to press multiple times to get this thing to work. The screen is also, it's not that sharp. It's okay. There's me showing you the little hand. But the touchscreen, you have to hold your finger down just a little bit longer than you do with the real one. Here's me trying to swipe. You see, that was tried to be a swipe, but it actually clicked, and that wasn't what I wanted. There's the swipe. You have to be kind of deliberate with it, and it doesn't feel natural. I fly with a real GTN750, and so I'm used to how these feel, and it's just not quite there for me. And as you can see, I'm continuing to struggle to get this to work. I did buy a touchscreen panel myself, but I just couldn't get one that would be the right dimensions for a GTN. I don't know where RealSimGear got this from. But I will say that the knobs and switches and buttons on this, all very solid, all very nice, and probably better than the ones you're going to see from myself in just a moment. Alright, so here is my answer. And what this is mounted on a panel, which will be the Avionics panel in the King Air, in the cockpit that I'm building, and a more modern take on what would have been the old Rockwell Collins system and all of the intercom and audio panel switches which the GTN can replace. So what you've got is a 3D printed bezel, which is the exact dimensions of the real one. I compared it in the first video right at the start, if you see. And I downloaded the bezel from Thingiverse, but I made the buttons and the knobs myself, and I also put together an altitude alerter. And behind here is an iPad that I already had, and the GTN is running the RealSimGear, sorry, the Reality XP pop-out just the way the RealSimGear one does. And the iPad's running Duet, which is just an extra monitor. And the top panel here is being powered by Air Manager, and all of the buttons and knobs are also powered by Air Manager with some custom Lua that I wrote. So let's start off with the knobs. These all work as you would expect. Direct to, and the home button also works just as you would expect. which we'll have to go into here for. You can hold that down. There we go. I haven't quite figured out how to label these nicely yet. I'll come up with something for that. And very quickly the altitude alerter works, as you'd expect. So the actual touchscreen, as I say, this is my iPad in the background, so it should be pretty responsive, which it is. So let's remove this and we'll go back to Atlanta. All right, Atlanta. Perfect, that's just like the real one. Let's pick a departure and let's try that swiping. Perfect, not clicking. It is picking up on the click, but I'm not pushing long enough for it to recognize. This is just how the real one works. Bang 2 to pick a runway. 27, load the departure. And one thing I find kind of interesting is this loads faster than the real one does. You can, let's zoom out. Remember that lagginess on the real one? Well, that doesn't happen here. This loads super fast. And clearly because it's using my PC's processor to run the Garmin Trainer software compared to the relatively slow processor that's in the real unit. So all in all, the RealSimGear is $4.99 to buy. And like I said, they gave me a refund, no questions asked, which is awesome customer service. Can't fault that enough. This, given that I already had the iPad, I would say tops would be $50 all in. I already had the 3D printer as well. And just very quickly, I'll show you what's going on the back. There's the iPad sandwiched in there, and there's the Arduino with some real quick thrown together wiring. And actually the most difficult piece for me to get a hold of was the dual stacked pot with the push button on the top of it, which I patiently waited to come from China. And that was probably the most expensive piece at around $8 or $9 for one. So there you go. That's my solution. Is going to be my homegrown one for my King Air cockpit. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again.